The sky was painted in hues of orange and gold as the sun rose over the sleepy town of Maplewood. It was the kind of morning that whispered peace, gentle, warm, full of promise. Birds chirped on windowsills, vendors unpacked crates of fresh produce, and children tugged at their parents' sleeves, drawn to the sweet smell of pastries wafting through the air. The farmer's market was in full bloom, and in the heart of it all was Emily Bennett, 32 years old, 7 months pregnant, and finally feeling like the universe was smiling at her again. Emily moved slowly between the fruit stands, her fingers grazing ripe peaches and glossy apples. Her pink cotton dress fluttered in the soft breeze, her other hand resting protectively over her belly. After 3 years of heartbreak, fertility treatments, and one devastating miscarriage, this child, her daughter, felt like a miracle. She hummed softly to herself, smiling as the baby gave a gentle kick. It was going to be a good day. But fate had other plans. A sudden noise sliced through the morning calm, a deep, sharp bark. Emily turned quickly, startled, and saw a large German Shepherd canine dog barreling through the crowd. His handler was shouting behind him, but the dog wasn't listening. In seconds, he was in front of Emily, barking ferociously, not at her, but at her belly. The market froze. Children clung to parents. A man dropped a bag of oranges, which rolled across the pavement. The air turned thick with confusion and alarm. Emily gasped, stumbling backward. What is happening? She thought in panic. The dog, later identified as Max, a highly trained police canine, stood between her and everyone else, barking as if trying to protect her from something invisible. His eyes, intelligent and focused, were locked on her bump. Not aggressive. Not threatening. But intense. Desperate. Officers rushed to contain him. Max. Heel, one barked, tugging his leash. But Max wouldn't move. He barked louder. One paw lifted, placed cautiously on Emily's leg, like a message, not a threat. Emily's heart raced, but something about the dog's energy wasn't frightening, it was urgent. She couldn't explain it, but deep inside, a small, cold fear took root. One that didn't leave, even after the officers managed to guide Max away, apologizing and assuring her it was a misunderstanding. If you believe in the power of animal instincts, the beauty of second chances, or the magic of unlikely heroes, please like, comment, share, and subscribe to Pawsitive Tales. Your support helps stories like this reach more hearts around the world. That night, Emily couldn't sleep. Tom, her husband, reassured her again and again. He's just a dog, Em. Maybe you smelled like something that triggered him. But she wasn't convinced. She had always trusted her instincts, and this time, they were screaming at her. The next morning, she called her OB and asked for an emergency scan. I know it sounds crazy, she said over the phone, but something isn't right. At the hospital, the ultrasound technician smiled and chatted as usual. Emily lay back, trying to calm herself. But as the technician moved the probe across her belly, her expression changed. Her words slowed. Then came the pause. The coldness. I'm just going to get the doctor, she said softly. Emily gripped Tom's hand, her knuckles white. The minutes dragged. When the doctor arrived, he took over the scan, his face unreadable. Then, gently, he said it, your baby has a rare congenital heart defect. It's called hypoplastic left heart syndrome. It's serious, but because we've caught it now, we can prepare for immediate intervention after birth. You'll need a pediatric cardiologist, and likely surgery within hours of delivery. Emily barely heard the words after that. Her vision blurred. She felt like she was sinking underwater. The baby they had prayed for, the one they had already named Lily, was in danger. But the strangest part of all wasn't the diagnosis, it was the realization that somehow, Max had known. The days that followed were filled with hospital visits, medical terms they didn't understand, and a growing sense of urgency. Emily found herself lying awake at night, hand over her stomach, wondering how a dog had been the one to sound the alarm. She couldn't shake the image of his eyes. Not wild. Not angry. But knowing. Desperate for answers, Emily called the local precinct. She explained what had happened and asked to speak with the dog's handler. A few days later, they met at the station. Officer Brian Walker greeted her warmly. "Max is special," he said. "He's trained in scent detection, drugs, explosives, even some medical conditions. He once alerted us to a man having a stroke. But this? We've never seen anything like this." Emily knelt beside Max, her belly now more prominent. Max approached slowly and nudged her hand, tail wagging slightly. "Thank you," she whispered, tears in her eyes. "You saved her." Officer Walker asked if they could take a photo. They did, Max sitting beside Emily, who was now smiling. That photo would later go viral, but for now, it was just a quiet memory shared between a woman and the dog who changed everything. In the final weeks of her pregnancy, Emily stayed near the children's hospital. Doctors closely monitored Lily's development. Every day was a tightrope of hope and fear. But Emily found strength in Max's warning. She believed her daughter had been given a second chance and she wasn't going to waste it. Finally, the day came. Lily was born on a clear morning, weighing just over 5 pounds. Her cry was soft but strong, and within minutes, she was taken into surgery. The hours dragged by like lifetimes, until the surgeon emerged, exhausted but smiling. "She's stable." The surgery went well. Emily collapsed into Tom's arms. Relief crashed over them like a wave. For the first time in weeks, she allowed herself to breathe. Over the next few days, Lily recovered slowly in the NICU. Emily visited every hour, whispering stories into her tiny ears about the market, about her miracle, about the brave dog who had warned them all. 1 month later, they returned home as a family. Emily insisted on stopping at the police station. Max ran out to meet them, his tail wagging hard. Lily, swaddled and asleep, was placed in Emily's arms. Max sniffed her gently, then rested his head on her feet. It was as if he knew she was safe now. The precinct posted the story on their Facebook page. It spread like wildfire. News outlets picked it up. "Canine saves unborn baby" was the headline. People wrote in from around the world thanking Max, sharing their own stories, and expressing their belief in animal intuition. Emily began volunteering at the precinct's community events, speaking about early detection and maternal instincts and the unlikely heroes that walk on 4 legs. Max became something of a local celebrity. Children visited just to pet him. Families brought him treats. And on Lily's first birthday, he wore a party hat and ate a cupcake. The bond between Max and Lily only grew stronger. As she learned to walk, he was her shadow. As she learned to speak, Max was her first word. Emily sometimes caught them curled up together, Max's big body wrapped protectively around her tiny one. When Lily turned 3, Emily wrote a children's book called The Dog Who Barked at a Baby. It was illustrated with drawings of Max and Lily. The book was picked up by a publisher, and all proceeds went to fund canine training programs in children's hospitals. Schools began reading it aloud. Parents cried over its message. Emily would always say, "We think we're saving animals. But sometimes, they're saving us." Years passed. Max retired from duty but lived out his golden years surrounded by love and respect. When he passed away peacefully at age 13, the entire town mourned him. The mayor declared a local Max Day in his honor. A statue of him now stands near the farmer's market where he first barked that fateful warning, eyes forever focused on something beyond human understanding. Lily, now older, still visits the statue. She leaves flowers. Sometimes she talks to him. And sometimes, she says she can still feel him watching over her. Because heroes don't always wear capes. Sometimes, they wear fur. Sometimes, they bark not out of fear, but out of fierce, unexplainable love. If this story touched your heart, please like, comment, and share it with someone who needs to believe in miracles again. And if you haven't already, subscribe to Pawsitive Tales for more true stories that prove how powerful, loyal, and wise our animal companions truly are. Special request, please leave a comment below saying thank you, Max, if you believe this incredible dog deserved all the love in the world. Let's flood the comments with gratitude.